To continue, we have now a new media art. Basically contemporary version of sculptures that we have been familiarized before. So going back, we have group painting, sculpture, and architecture under the fine arts because they require formal studies and training. Kaya siya fine arts because it follows a certain set of method, formal method to in the execution of art and manipulation of the medium. They are appreciated for their aesthetics and are subject to refined judgment of certain art critic. However, nowadays, meron tayong tinatawag na new media art wherein it's not bounded by the restrictions of fine arts, and individuals, artists can utilize a variety of methods to produce an artwork na pasok sa kanilang panlasa, kanilang creative mind. So, typical techniques used for new media art are representational or representation, shows actual objects or subjects from nature or reality. Abstract art, in which it takes subject from reality or nature, but the artists present them in ways different from the way they are seen in everyday life. So abstract art, abstraction, you'll try to um create um a different take when it comes to showcasing the object, the experience that you want to portray in that particular sculpture or artwork. Non-objective art is artworks do not represent or depict a person, place, or thing in the natural world in merely. So since it's not objective, it's a pigment of imagination as to what that particular artwork portrays. So good example is installation art. It's an art form consisting of three-dimensional works that are often site-specific. So depende sa isang lugar kung saan mo siya itatayo, ilalagay, and designed to transform interior or exterior spaces to achieve a certain effect. They are designed only for the space for which they are created. A good example of installation art is, teka, ano pang example ito pala. So, the subject matter of installation art is often stimulated by an event or an issue to human and social condition. So, Tangay-Tangan by Cathy Santaanan, Manolo Sikat. Try to visualize what it tries to portray and the materials used for this specific installation art. When we talk about installation art, it has a specific place that it should be na kung saan to ilalagay. Because yung lugar kung saan to ilalagay provides additional context. Previously, siguro 2 years ago sa MCL, nagsagawa ng installation art yung mga students. I think installation art yung ginawa nila. Aside from paper sculpture wherein, again, they created paper, a human size sculptures using paper and plastic. Then they try to install it to various places in MCL building, Rizal building, to create a certain experience. May isa pa nga nagsabit ng parang astronaut style of ano call this? Astronaut. Again, astronaut, sorry, hindi astronaut, astronaut na installation art. Sinabit doon sa gitna ng Rizal building, doon sa may hagdanan sa stairs. Ay meron pa nga nakaupo lang sa tabi ng may pader dun sa third floor malapit sa clear. So representing student to pag tumatambay doon. So ganun, it's stimulated by a certain event, human event, issue, or social condition. So it's often identified with sculpture because of its three-dimensional forms and techniques being utilized. So typically, dahil nga three-dimensional to, it's a sculpture and using assemblage, sculptural assemblage or assembling. composed of several genres such as painting, sculpture, and mediums like ready-made found objects, drawing, text, objects assembled together to interact with space or art objects formed creatively by the artist. It's labor intensive at typically hindi isang tao lang gumagawa nito. Although typically yung credit is nasa isang tao or kung sino man yung main artists, but it's not it's there's always an other people. So artists usually work with fellow artists and assistants. Does not consider sale or profit. They are temporary and most of the time cannot be stored. After that actual display or presentation, tinatanggal din agad ito. Works of Plet Bolipata. So yan, installation art. Sample of installation art. Ilaw at Dilim by Villamel. Then, another example. Ito, I think nakakita na kayo na ganito. Patricia Estacchio. Typically sa mga exhibit. Certain room that portrays a certain use of various metals, various objects to occupy space and recreate a certain human experience. So, these 5 types of installation art: technology-aided, performance installation, conceptual, interactive, and environmental installation. So, when it comes to technology-aided, light, video, or films projected. So, yung typical installation art, kahit siguro yung mga pag Christmas, nakita tayo ng mga Christmas display, that can be considered as an installation art. Hanapan na kayo ng Los Baños, there's always Christmas display sa may main gate. So technology aided because they using light in those kinds of installation art. Performance installation is combined with theater and dance. So Soak Music and Arts Festival by Mona Alcudia. Another is Hall of Restless Sleep. So people power experiential museum wherein an actual person or individuals or makikita nyo doing the performance. So installation because they're using they're occupying a space using 3D materials, using even technology aided, and there's an actual performance na nangyayari by actual persons or artists. So then conceptual places emphasis on an idea or concept rather than in a tangible art object. So hindi ang focus is yung individual elements pero yung kabuuan nito. Yung konsepto. So mabining mandirigma. Then interactive, so allows viewers to touch, walk in, or through, listen, or interact with the piece. So there's an actual interaction with the installation art that is being displayed. So just to give you some examples, siguro nga pwede rin sabihin natin kung nakapunta na kayo ng mga zoo, museums, museums, yung mga halimbawa may parang display cartons na may cut out yung mukha tapos pwede mo ipasok yung mukha mo doon. So, pwede pasok yung mukha mo. That's an example of installation art na interactive. Na-visualize nyo ba? Yung may cut out yung mukha tapos may lion, tapos may cut out, may putas. Pasok mo yung mukha mo tapos pwede ka mag photo op for that. Environmental installation is artists' connection with the beauty of nature, the natural world, and the environment. So, if the emphasis is on reconnecting with the natural world, with nature, then it's an environmental installation. Example sa UP Diliman, if I'm not mistaken. Public art naman, it's an art that are installed in public places on display. Kung mapapansin nyo, nag-overlap. Some installation arts can be public art. Okay, ganun yung ano, new media art, contemporary art. They can overlap with when it comes to type of art being portrayed. So, however, pinagkaiba ng public art is, nasa salita mismo, is public art is dominated by monuments to heroes and religious landmarks, traditionally. But what's clear is, typical ito na nasa publiko, nasa public places. In the contemporary world, artists have expanded their choice of materials and methods and became aware of design that appeals to the global taste of public art patrons. So, the idea behind public art is to engage audiences and create spaces, whether material, virtual, or imagined, where people can identify themselves by creating renewed reflection on community, the uses of public space, and our behavior within them. Di sure kung meron sa Nuvali pa ng public art. Siguro maganda example pala din ng ano, um, interactive, kanina installation art, public art din at the same time. Yung ano, yung Nuvali Magical Field of Lights. 2 years ago. 2 years ago yung last eh. Yeah, that's an example of installation, an interactive installation art, which is also considered a public art. So, a community-based art, type of public art. So, community setting, by ito example is by Alma Quinto. Ano yan, mga plastic wrappers. So pa, build at your own risk. Then ilaw at dilim. Municipal art, typically in squares, plaza, or in front of government buildings. Kaya, hindi ko sure kung meron dito sa ano, Alamba, parang hindi, parang wala yata dito. Pero again, it's kung halimbawa ito sa kay Bonifacio, Niwasang Bonifacio, if I'm not mistaken, typically found in a square or plaza. Land art. Land art is artworks that interact with nature and the environment. So, there's a certain connection. Sample dito, Suspended Gravity by Reg Yuson. Architectural art decorates facade, orchard, and enclosed concrete structure. So, Silent Companion by Seb Chua. So, architectural art is more of ano, a decoration. Okay? An artwork at public art that is meant to ano, is part of a facade, a certain public space. And commemorative monuments, so EDSA, design-based, so EDSA monument, design-based, usually located in parks or commercial buildings. The theme should match the buildings and its surroundings to achieve a certain sense of unity. So, typically, ito yung simbolo nung certain ano, commercial building. Nag-iisip ako eh. Parang wala naman yata. Siguro sa mga ano, science park. Okay? Science park, ganyan. Sa mga industrial parks, industrial complexes, meron silang ano, design-based na public art. Na ito yung parang simbolo nila. Isip ako meron eh. Hindi ko talaga maisip. Sorry. But yeah, siguro para sa Madrigal Business Park sa Muntinlupa, you can see a certain example of a design-based public art. And also campaign-inspired public art which promotes an idea. So, halimbawa, yung Boys and Knocks Out, a project in EDSA, way back, no, few years ago. So, with that, thank you.